Things can get extremely hectic in 2 Point Campus with the sheer amount of stuff going on at all times. Seeing as you're constantly being asked to fulfill challenges and adhere to your students' needs, it can become pretty easy not to fully utilise the features at your fingertips. So we've taken it upon ourselves to compile a list of the top 10 tips you should be taking advantage of in 2 Point Campus. Tip number 1 is to focus on one course at a time and specialise in it. If you try to expand your campus too quickly with multiple courses, you're going to run out of room in your building for different rooms that you'll need as you progress. This is what I did in my first area, as you can see. I had a scientography course and a virtual normality course running at the same time, meaning I had to use almost all of my space on extra labs and learning rooms. I'm at the stage now where if I was asked to place another laboratory or lecture theatre, I physically couldn't. So make sure you keep that in mind, especially when you're in the first area and you only have access to 5 plots of land. Once you've moved and can buy up to 10 plots or more, then go ahead and start introducing other courses, but still make sure to focus on one to begin with. If you do this, you can upgrade the course to a good level and start to get brilliant results from your students. Also, if you're not wasting space with another course's learning facilities, you can use it to help build an amazing campus for your students. As you progress through the areas, you'll start to unlock a lot of new rooms that you can place down that will really help your campus. So you'll need that additional space for those, and that's why I'd recommend focusing on one course at a time. Tip 2 is to 3-star each campus before moving on to the next location. This is important as it gains you access to a ton of KUDOSH once you've done it, but also a lot of additional KUDOSH while you're doing it. This allows you to buy up a bunch of items that will help your campus immensely. Things like new posters, plants, and food stands will go a long way in increasing the level of your campus, and also the prestige of the room in which they're placed. This means that you can earn more course points from having a higher level campus and upgrade your courses to offer the best education possible for your students. Also, playing through the game in a linear fashion will help you learn a lot, which will be beneficial in the long run. If you start at Freshly Meadows and work your campus all the way up to a 3-star rating, you'll have picked up a ton of gameplay tricks that will help you in future locations. Once you've run a successful campus and know which rooms go where, then you can take that forward and smash the next one. It makes the game far less stressful and overall a more enjoyable experience if you play it this way. Next up we have tip 3, which is to make sure you're building up all kinds of relationships between your students. Whether that be just friendships or actual relationships, they'll benefit greatly from being able to form these. It'll increase their happiness and make them less likely to drop out or flunk their exams. You can do this by adding in love benches, love trees, 2-player arcade games, and other activities such as clubs and dartboards for them to use together. It might seem a little bit pointless at first, but it definitely helps build their grades up in the long run, so it's well worth doing from the start. Also, when you first start the game, there aren't that many ways to increase happiness aside from providing a good sized dormitory and maybe throwing a couple of arcade games into play. So this is definitely something that you'll want to be taking advantage of immediately. Tip 4 is to hire the best staff that you can for your budget. You'll see in the description of the employee that they often have negative traits alongside the list of things they're bringing to the job. The cheaper the staff member you hire, the more of these traits there will be. Or at least the traits that they do have will be more detrimental to your campus. So you want to make sure that you're looking at these and hire the best staff that you possibly can. As you progress through to the 3rd location, however, a new room will become available. After you've set up the robotics course, you'll have the option to place a training room. This allows you to give staff new skills for a much cheaper price than if you bought them with that skill already. So at this point in the game, you can start to save a little bit of money by hiring the cheaper staff and training them up. They will still have the negative traits, but now they'll be bringing a lot more to the table. Tip number 5 is to maximise the prestige of each room as you go. Just to note, it will be hard to keep the prestige levels consistent across all rooms as they do vary in size, but try to max it out as much as possible. To do this, you can add in a bunch of items, whether it be posters, rugs, bookshelves, plants, whatever. Anything you place in that room will increase its level. Posters are a good one to use as they take up almost no space whatsoever. In the bigger rooms like laboratories, you'll want to place down facilities that will help the students learn. Even if you repeat stuff, it should increase the level as it provides more areas for students to work. If you can, however, try not to use the same posters and plants over and over again, as having a variety of them will boost the prestige up even higher. You can reuse them if you don't have any other options, but you can also buy extra options with KUDOSH, which you'll need a fair amount of to do so I'll explain how to get more of that in a later tip. For tip 6, we're advising that you make the most of the private tuition rooms. This is a room that you unlock from the second location, Piazza La Natra, and will really help your students bump up their grades. From my experience, after you've been introduced to this room, the game won't require you to place one down in new areas. But if you don't, your students will start to complain and request one, so it's better to put one in there from the start. They don't have to be big rooms by any means, and won't cost you a lot of money as a result. The benefit you'll get from them is that your overall grades will rise and you'll be more likely to win awards at the end of the year. These awards will give you extra money and KUDOSH, so it's worth including these rooms around your campus. The 7th tip is to make use of the scheduled events that you're introduced to in the second location. Once you've set up your campus in Piazza La Natra, you'll be asked to build a student bar and host an event. These can be hosted whenever and can even be scheduled to take place every year on a designated date. The benefit of these is that your students can relax and enjoy themselves, which heightens their happiness and overall will improve their performance. It's quite easy to forget to schedule these after you're asked to, as there's so much going on at the same time. But try to remember to at least host one every single year. This is the same for other events around campus like cook-offs and funny film screenings. Any of these activities will help student morale and provide a healthier environment for them to work in. Tip 8 is to utilise the loans at the start of the game. Money can be a bit tight when building your first campus, so if you find yourself running low, then you can take out a loan by clicking on this icon in the bottom left corner. You'll be met with 3 options to go for, each varying in value. I would highly recommend not taking out all 3 loans at once, as you'll end up with a negative cash balance and it'll be very hard to get out of. You won't be able to buy any new items to increase room prestige, and you won't be able to host events to help with student morale. So trust me, it's just a bad idea overall. What you should do though is look to take out the cheapest loan and maybe stretch to the middle one if you really need to. This will allow you to build your campus up a lot more and increase your return on investment tenfold. It shouldn't take too long to pay back if you don't take out too much, and you'll reap in the benefits later on. The penultimate tip, tip 9, is to make use of the multiple visualization tools in the bottom left. These are a great way to make sure your campus is performing to its full potential. You can filter by room prestige to see which rooms need items adding to them, or even by attractiveness to see which rooms look awful in general, which helps you even out your campus and make it a brilliant place to be all round. Having such a useful tool is almost a cheat code, as it means that you can never be caught slipping. Every room should be looking amazing with these tools, so you have to be making use of them. Also, a little bonus tip is to use the timetable button just to the left of this. It allows you to see if any teachers are needed to run classes. If any of the squares are red, it means you need a teacher, so have a look at what subject it is and get hiring. Finally, we have tip 10, which is to claim all of the KUDOSH you've earned whilst playing. This tip is nice and short, as it's only one click away. In the top right of your screen, you have the Career Hub button. If you click this, then you can claim a ton of KUDOSH that you might not have already. I didn't figure this out until location 3, and it's fair to say I had a lot of it saved up. If you do this, you can buy extra items to increase room prestige and generally just make your campus a better place to learn. If these tips helped you out in your 2-point campus playthrough, be sure to watch some of our other videos on the game as well.